that was the most not Stephen King movie I've ever seen. Not my best bit, but it'll do.
Yeah. I tried to think of something, but I just couldn't. I was like, I know. And God, I forgot that. I was just going to name some movie off the top of my head. It's like, and I just suddenly forgot almost every other Stephen King movie that could have worked.
A little bit of It, a little bit of Misery, a little bit of Tommyknockers. I really want to get deep in there. Yeah. So yeah, this is I keep calling it the Black Book, and I know that's not right.
Yeah.
The Black Phone, which pretty much works almost entirely because Ethan Hawke's in it.
Yeah, he is.
He is making a meal out of this performance. He's having a great time.
Yeah, he is legitimately kind of creepy.
I was Ethan.
It's like, ugh, just that. Oh God, there's just some part where he's just like crying, like just in the not some like, boohoo, just like tearing eyes, just like, what are you doing down here? Just watching you.
Just wanted to look at you. Yeah, something like that.
I was just like.
And like,
oh no!
And honestly, thank God he's in this, because there was a part like in the first 20 minutes I was really worried about this movie, because I'm kind of like, oh, the kids are trying their best.
I will say
it's not their fault. It's very inconsistent.
Yeah, the kid who played the main kid, Finn, he did fine. He did fine
once the main beat of the story started.
I'd say even then, he felt natural enough. His buddy though, Robin.
Yeah. Ooh. And the sister mostly worked. Mostly when she's being foul-mouthed, she worked.
Oh, she was. Yeah, because her acting was a little kind of. It felt like there's
it's not bad.
Yeah, just
it's inconsistent.
Yeah, the best way to describe her is I feel like she was acting in a Steven Spielberg movie instead of a Stephen King movie.
I don't know. I got a little little episode 1 It vibes, except the kids and they're better actors.
Yeah. But
I mean, very brief synopsis of the movie in case you're not aware for whatever reason.
Yeah, it's funny how we keep comparing to Stephen King. We had nothing to do with this movie.
He didn't, but the first 20 minutes really feels like it is.
That said, it was done by Joe Hill, I think, which isn't that his son?
Is it? Okay, while you're going over that.
Yeah, you surmise the movie.
And there's a person. They're fine. So yeah, the black phone. God damn it. The Black Phone is about a kid named Finney and his sister who live in this. Again, I'm just gonna start naming off Stephen King tropes. Who lives with a alcoholic, abusive father, played by Balder from God of War. But oh no, his sister is also psychic. And there's also a serial killer who's abducting kids on the loose. That's not necessarily a Stephen King trope, but yeah, kids and murder. That's kind of also his thing. But anyway, so there's this guy who's named the Grabber, which as far as serial killer names go, what?
His dad is Stephen King. That explains everything.
Makes so much fucking sense. Oh, and it's set in the 70s in a small suburban town.
In the Midwest.
In the Midwest. It might as well be Maine.
Yeah, because it was. Yeah, I mean, it was close enough. It's it was Denver, Colorado, so it's
it might as well be Maine.
2 out of 3 ain't bad.
Yep. But it also has the bullies who were just bullies for no fucking reason that take it to just insane lengths. The one part, I thought just one kid was just gonna die, and we never see him again.
No, we do. We see him in the end.
Okay, he's in the end. So he doesn't bleed out from the head.
Yeah. No, I thought that scene was kind of hilarious. How both this kid that was beating up on sister's brother, and then this she just whacked him upside the head with a rock. He's just
yeah, she's spurting blood out of his head.
Then she gets her teeth kicked in, almost literally, and then they're just both bleeding out against this fence.
Jesus Christ!
It's are we best friends now?
I'd say we're even, is what we are.
Yeah.
But anyway, by the way, Grabber, I gotta point out, it's just a terrible name for a serial killer, because my first thought is just some guy just going around going, ha! It's like, ha! 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 But anyway, so Finney gets kidnapped by trying to roll the window now, too late. Die's been cast. After that, that's just gonna be the thumbnail.
Yeah, we're trying to get away from the groper, the grabber, the groper, the grabber.
That sounds like a Family Guy joke.
It does.
But anywho, so yeah, Finney gets kidnapped by the grabber, and there is this mysterious black phone in the middle of this concrete basement that they're in. The phone doesn't work until it does, and it turns out it's the ghosts of his previous victims communicating with Finney in order to like help him escape, basically.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much the basic setup of the movie. And as I'm not giving anything away, it's all in the trailer, but there you go. Now we're all on the same page. So really, like, it's really when he gets kidnapped is when this movie starts working. At least it did for me.
For me as well. Like, I mean, like we said, Hawke is absolutely creepy in this thing.
Like I said, he's making a fucking meal out of it.
Yeah, and it's just like, stay away from me.
I know, like, Ethan Hawke's kind of had a resurgence lately. It's very fascinating.
Yeah.
Not just like in roles he's done, but like also like interviewing circuit. He's had some very interesting interviews recently.
Yeah.
But even then, he's kind of like, I don't really like playing bad guys, but I'm also like, but you're so good at it.
People tend to be best at the things they don't like to do. It's a weird thing. It's kind of like how I hate drawing with frickin' charcoal, but that seems to be like the thing I can draw best with, and I hate it. It's so messy.
Yeah, I can't draw, period.
Yeah, and the other thing I will say about this movie is, like, once it gets to that, is it is interesting seeing how they're basically doing puzzle pieces for this case in terms of, like, it's like there's little bits here and there that each person has. It's like that, you know, all these spirits are giving him ideas of how to get out.
Yeah. And like, I do like the way it all kind of comes together toward the end, without giving anything away.
Yeah.
I thought the way they kind of, again, set those pieces up, and it's like, okay, here's something, this is going to come in later at some point. Yeah. I did like how it all came together. It did come together very well.
Yeah.
In a very satisfying way.
Yeah. And I also liked how, like, with each thing, like, it seems like either it's a victory, but then, you know, it fails, or it seems like a failure, but this leads, as you mentioned, it comes together in a way that leads to a really good victory.
Yeah, like, I'm trying to think of, like, another movie like it that kind of did something similar.
Don't Breathe?
Yes, Don't Breathe. That's an excellent example, and this in a very similar vein of setting up, like, they're doing the first one, not the second one.
Yeah, because they do a sweep of the house in the first movie, and, like, everything you see comes together, is used in some way, shape, or form.
It's honestly kind of a brilliant establishing shot. This one doesn't quite work in the same way because it's very piecemeal. Like, everything kind of comes together in its own way. It is one of those cases, like, you do have to listen to some. I'm not going to use the word cringy because I hate that fucking word. But it does come from some less than ideal acting from the kid actors they got to play some of these things.
Yeah, like I said, some of them are like pretty fine. Like I said, Finn did fine. A couple of the ghost kids, there's like, I think it was like Bobby or something, the newspaper boy.
Yeah, like Bobby was fine.
Bruce was fine.
I don't know, Bruce kind of made me giggle a little bit.
He didn't have much lines though.
True, but like the one they kept bringing back was kind of like, really, that's going to be your calling card? Okay.
Yeah. Which is fair. I'm not blaming that on the acting. That's more akin to like the writing, and which is mostly pretty well written, I'd say. There just are some like kind of a couple brief moments. They're just like, that's a little
I also did have to question. It's like this movie takes place in the 70s, right?
Yeah, 78.
So I'm kind of thinking, and like, they wouldn't let him onto a baseball team in the 70s.
In Denver.
In Denver, Colorado. Honestly, that was first like, that wouldn't fucking happen.
I'm not gonna lie. I thought kind of the same thing too. It's like, was Denver really that progressive back then?
No, because for context, Bruce is Asian. And
he's Japanese because his name is Bruce Yamada.
Okay, yeah. And I'm kind of thinking, I'm like, okay, like, if it's progressive that way, cool. It's hard to believe. And again, I shouldn't say that as the whitest man here, but at the same time, as somebody who like has done a little bit of digging on the subject, is like, this wouldn't happen. Yeah,
someone who has family in Denver, Colorado, and who's according to one of my cousins, quote unquote, another family member was getting upset because the Democrats were getting into control over there.
Yeah, so that's one of those things. She's just like not a big deal, but it's also kind of one of those things. I was like, oh, I don't know how I feel about this. But anyway, not a big deal. Yeah. Go Denver in this fictional 78 verse.
Yeah. But the punk kid had me laughing.
I don't know if like that's one of those cases like, are you intentionally hamming this up, or like are you trying to be serious because I can't tell.
I couldn't tell either way. I had a fun time with it.
It's like, you know, in like Stranger Things season 2, where you had the guy with the mullet.
Yeah, the red Power Ranger.
Yeah. Wait, was it really? Son of a bitch.
Yeah, that was the red Power Ranger from the reboot.
Oh, lordy. He made the best of what he had in that role. But anyways, it's more a case of just like that kind of extreme, like rah rah, and like again, kind of going like the Stephen King bully for the sake of being a bully kind of thing.
Yeah.
They're just random dude with the fucking mess of a hair with just beats up a bunch of kids in a fucking convenience store.
After they mess up his pinball game because he was about to beat his high score, ball got stuck, guy bumps into it, and he loses his shit.
And because this is a Stephen King-esque movie, it's like, of course, one of the kids just happens to have his fucking switchblade on him. Which the other kid takes those carving numbers into his fucking.
Well, that was a dream. To be fair, that was also partially a dream.
That part is partially a dream, but still, though.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, it was ridiculous in it's ridiculous now.
Yeah.
But anyway, I don't know. Maybe kids really did have switchblades back then, but I don't know.
What else? Yeah, I will say the father character was
very stereotypical.
I will say, to their credit, there was some interest. Like, it was borderline just like, oh, trauma, therefore super abusive. But the weird thing was, they showed, like, at times, he really did care, but he was also a monster.
I mean, that's most abusers in a nutshell.
Yeah, which, I mean, normally you don't get that, like, the hints of humanity. That was the weird thing, where it's like, it could have been done better, but I give him credit for trying.
I don't know. Like that kind of leads down a slippery road for me because
I understand. For you. It's
because my first thought is like, okay, yeah, if you want to humanize it, fine. I'm not opposed to it necessarily. That being said,
he's still a monster in this thing.
It's still a monster, but it also kind of goes into you walk that fine line. And granted, this movie doesn't go into it that much, so this isn't that guilty of it. But you do have to be super careful not to go like, oh, it's okay. Because he's sad now.
Yeah.
So that means all the abuse doesn't matter. Because he's sad.
It's like, yeah, he is sad that his wife went crazy and committed suicide, but he also fucking walloped his daughter with a belt.
Like, you don't want to use the sympathy card as justification. And you have to be super careful.
Yeah. It didn't go
when you delve into that topic.
It didn't go
to do that.
And thankfully it didn't quite go that route.
No,
thankfully.
It doesn't. That being said, like, that's definitely the case. Like, if you're gonna do that, okay, like, do it, tread lightly.
Exactly.
That being said, otherwise, like, that's the case. Like, if you don't dabble in it, just treat him as a fucking monster. Otherwise,
yeah.
Because otherwise, I don't know, it just feels a little icky to me.
Which is fair.
But that's just, I don't know, maybe that's just a me thing.
Which is understandable. And then lastly, which I will say was an interesting twist at one point.
Which part?
When they introduce Max.
Oh, yeah, poor Max.
That poor guy. All he wanted to do was take drugs and be a hero.
If he just lived like 20 years longer, he would have been amazing at Reddit.
So, at one point during the middle of the movie, like, this guy named Max calls to the police, and he's like...
No, he doesn't call the police. The police come to him.
Right. Yeah, and he's basically going on a Pepe Silva, tangent.
Yeah, because the police are doing canvassing, looking for Finney, and they happen upon Max's house, who is this very coke-addled, paranoid little dude who has been trying to figure out where all these murders have come from.
Yeah, and he's apparently just crashing at his brother's place.
Yeah.
And after he's done, and the cops decide to say, okay, we're not gonna... They notice the coke on the table and just kind of leave. He just...
Yeah.
He just sniffs it up. Camera goes down. We find out that Finn
is in the basement. I guess it goes into spoilers. But Finney's in the basement. Yep.
Yeah.
It turns out his brother is Ethan Hawke, and he's the murderous, the psychopath, whatever, the killer.
Yeah. The grabber.
The grabber. Ah! Anyway, I mean, one thing I like and I don't like at the same time is the fact that we don't really ever learn much about him, which I've had to balance, which I prefer. I kind of like that we didn't.
Yeah, because that honestly made him way more terrifying.
Yeah, this case we're okay, so clearly he's got some daddy issues, but we never did. At the very least, I would have know what the fuck up was with the mask.
Yeah, because he switches basically between two masks technically. One is the smiley face, and the other one's the.
Well, it's clearly a mask with attachable pieces.
Yeah.
So the bottom half can be switched out with certain other pieces, and the top half's pre-existent. But we never learned you had to have that get custom made. Where the fuck did you get that?
Yeah, my guess is it's definitely a case of they're trying to kind of feed hint at you what his childhood was like.
Yeah, man, that seems to be the implication. And it's one of those things super nitpick. I acknowledge, and I think it's probably better that we don't know, but a couple pieces wouldn't have been bad. That being said, it does not ruin the movie that they don't.
Yeah.
But so yeah. I can't think of a lot else to get into.
Yeah, it's not an amazing horror movie, but it is a solid one.
I think it's honestly this movie works better if you consider more of a thriller than
a thriller. There we go. That's a better
horror movie.
Yeah, that's a better way to say it.
Even though it's definitely framed as a horror movie.
It's thriller with supernatural elements.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's
and Ghosts. That's the other Stephen King term I forgot to mention.
Right. But either way, it's a great little, not quite boiler room type of movie, but it's a good. It's
a little bit of a bottle movie.
Yeah, it's a little bit.
Yeah.
Great bits of cat and mouse.
Yeah.
In terms of I can't remember if I said it, but I appreciate how resourceful the kid was.
Yeah, I mean, I was laughing to myself. It's man, this kid's plan would have been ruined if Ethan Hawke just took 2 minutes to look around.
I thought the same thing. I feel like he'd be checking in on him more.
Especially after he just torn out a giant hole in the wall by the bathroom and unscrewed part of the the freezer behind it. I just imagine he's turning around what the fuck?
Yeah.
What did you do? That doesn't happen. But again, that's okay. That's one of those suspension of disbelief things. You just kind of roll with it.
Yeah.
And for the payoff we get, I'd say it's worth it.
For sure. I was satisfied with the ending. It felt like it was definitely earned. And this is the other thing I will say I like is that I'm mildly annoyed as it felt like the sister's involvement didn't accomplish as much as one would have expected, but instead her whole point is to basically fill in the other half of the story.
Pretty much, yeah.
So she's basically the. Oh my God, she's basically the one where she gets exposition.
Yeah, pretty much. Which again is the role of all psychics in Stephen King movies.
Yeah. But that said, like I said, her involvement, even if it didn't necessarily solve things, it led to the other part of base. It basically led to the other half of the answer.
Yeah. And despite the kids doing all the work, Detective still took all the credit, little bastards. As Finney's going back to school and everyone's oh, it's him. Oh. Yeah. I just want him to look at one person and just go, I killed a man today.
Oh, that's basically what happened with the bullies. Because you saw the bullies that beat him up, they're just oh shit.
Yeah, it's I murdered a man with a phone.
Oh man. And then someone else said, I heard it's an axe to the head. My dad's a cop, he knows these things.
It's yeah, you're next, bitch.
But yeah.
That kid's always getting picked first at dodgeball from this point onward.
Yeah.
Because his arm's a mint.
But yeah, it's a solid supernatural thriller.
I enjoyed it. It's good.
Yeah, definitely check it out.
And then as far as what else is next, I still just need to sit down and just talk about Jurassic World 3.
Did you watch it?
I have seen it, and it's one of those things. I keep having to reschedule the recordings. I just gotta sit down and just do it myself. Because I don't want to fucking talk about it.
I feel you. I don't want to watch it.
I don't.
I heard this is officially the worst one, not within just the World franchise, but the entire Jurassic franchise.
I mean, I don't know if it's as bad as some people are saying it is, but it's still bad. But then again, Minions is coming out this week, so I don't know. Could be worse. And then
we'll see.
Elvis.
Which I'm curious about.
I think me and Matt are going to cover that one. So, and Minions, too. God bless him. He volunteered. It's like, please don't make me watch this by myself.
I would join if I wasn't busy this weekend.
I get it, buddy. It's all right. So otherwise, I think it's all we got. So thank you guys for watching. See y'all later.